Good day. My name is Natalie and I'm with the Canadian Mental Health Association. And today I want to talk to you about an illness known as schizophrenia. So what is schizophrenia? Schizophrenia is a serious mental disorder in which people interpret reality abnormally. So schizophrenia may result in some combination of hallucinations, delusions, and extremely disorganized thinking, and behavior that impairs daily functioning. It can be quite disabling. Stress plays a huge role in illnesses like schizophrenia. So no matter how much we might long for a stress-free existence, the fact is stress is actually necessary. Stress can motivate us to get things done. It's how we respond to stress that can negatively affect our lives. So if we take the simple equation, stress equals pressure that is greater than our resources, and those resources are things like our coping strategies and the things that we have in place to be able to deal with stresses, that's when stress becomes a problem. So the link between stress and mental illness has yet to be fully understood, but it is known that stress can negatively affect an episode of mental illness. So there are, I'm going to say 6 myths that I want to talk about schizophrenia. So myth number 1 is schizophrenia means you have a split personality. Years ago, that's what people used to believe. But split personality is actually something called dissociative identity disorder, or multiple personality disorder. That's what we used to call it. And that's extremely rare to have that. And it's quite different than schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is a thought disorder. And it probably, the thought of split personality stems from the fact that there's usually a psychosis, which is a split from reality. So there's a breakdown or split between your emotions, your behaviors, and your thoughts. So that's probably where that comes from. Myth number 2, violence is common among individuals with schizophrenia. Now, most often, people with schizophrenia are the victims of violence rather than the perpetrators. So that is a myth. Myth number 3. People with schizophrenia can't ever hold down a job. Actually, again, a myth. Some individuals, when stable, are able to function quite well. When they adhere to their medications and are engaged in some sort of psychosocial treatment, they're very often quite functional and able to hold down jobs. Myth number 4. A person with schizophrenia can seem perfectly normal one moment and change into a different person the next. Again, another fallacy. We can often watch the decline or the slide when somebody is sliding into an unwell state or a psychotic state. It's slow and gradual. It doesn't happen overnight. And myth number 5. People with schizophrenia usually require long-term hospitalization. While that was true at one point, today's treatments really seem to be more on the outpatient treatment. Periodically, yes, people do require long-term hospitalization, but more often than not, the treatment is through outpatient. And the last one, myth number 6. Let's see. number 6, yeah. Bad parenting causes schizophrenia. Now, there is no truth to this. Again, another fallacy. Although there may be a genetic component, and it has been shown that sometimes it does run in families, it increases the risk factor for developing schizophrenia. It has never in any way, shape, or form been proving that parenting, and years ago it was always blamed on mom, is the cause for a mental illness. It simply isn't true. So there you have it. Those are 6 of the myths surrounding schizophrenia. So illnesses like schizophrenia and other severe mental illnesses contain an element known as psychosis. Now, psychosis is defined as a split from reality. And what makes it so difficult is that when a person is experiencing the psychosis, that is their reality. So whatever they're seeing, smelling, touching, tasting, feeling is real in their minds. And you can't convince them otherwise, because that is the reality that they are viewing. Now, it's not the reality that I am necessarily viewing, but it is the reality that they are viewing. So, psychosis itself has some symptoms. It has both positive and negative symptoms, okay? So if we first look at the positive symptoms, and when I was first learning about psychosis, I thought, oh, positive, that's the good stuff. But it means positive as in added to. So it's things like hallucinations, which we have 5 senses, and it can be in any of the 5 senses. It's things like delusions or strongly held false beliefs. It's disorganized thinking. It's bizarre behavior. And if we have the hallucinations and the delusions, and we're going to have some bizarre behavior because we are acting out on what we're viewing. And paranoia or fear. And, if I think somebody's chasing me or following me down the street, I am going to be very afraid. And then we talk about the negative symptoms. That is things that are taken away from my personality. So things that I used to have that I no longer have. So now I have a flat or blunted effect, meaning I really don't show any emotion. Everything is very still. I have poverty of thought or alogia. So it's very difficult to come up with answers even to things that people have asked me, because I really don't have it in here to bring out, to say it. A loss of interest. So maybe I really enjoyed painting before, but now I could care less if I ever painted again. I just have no interest in anything. I have low energy. I can't seem to get out of my own way. Social and emotional withdrawal. I don't want to be around other people. There's too much commotion, and there's so much going on in my head that I can't deal with everything that's going on around me. So that's a pretty heavy topic, talking about that. But now I want to talk to you about something that's much more exciting. Recovery from schizophrenia. Now, no, I can't say that there's a cure for schizophrenia yet, but we can live in recovery. So what is recovery? Recovery literally is living outside of the illness. So it's like any other illness. If we don't allow it to dictate what we do. Yes, we have to do everything in our power to look after it, just as we would with diabetes. We take our insulin, we eat properly, we get the proper exercise and enough rest. The same is true for an illness like schizophrenia. So recovery literally is living outside of the illness. So coping with schizophrenia is a lifetime process. Recovery doesn't mean that you won't experience any more challenges from the illness or that you'll always be symptom-free. What it does mean is that you're learning to manage your symptoms, developing the support you need, and a satisfying purpose-driven life. So that is the exciting part about this, is we can live in recovery. I'm going to talk to you just a little bit about the mental health continuum. So we have a diagram, and it's a big circle, and in that circle there is a cross. So if you look at the up and down line, this upper point is optimal mental health. That's when everything is going really well, okay? Down here at the bottom, we have low mental health or poor mental health, meaning we don't cope well with life. We don't have a lot of coping skills. Everything is overwhelming, okay? And then we look at this line across here, okay? Your horizontal line. And if we look at this line, let's look over here, and we have a mental illness over here. And over here, we have no symptoms of a mental illness, okay? So this is your mental illness line, and this is your mental health line. So you can see they intersect. So if I have good mental health, and I have I have a mental illness, that's what this one was, I'm sorry, then I can still have a mental illness and live in this quadrant over here and still have good mental health and cope well with my illness. Now, if we come down to this lower quadrant down here, so I have a mental illness and I have poor mental health. So I'm living in here and I'm not doing well. I have a mental illness and I have no coping skills. I'm not doing well. So then if we jump over to the other side, so now I'm over here, in here, and I have poor mental health, but I have no symptoms of a mental illness. I'm still not doing great because I don't cope well with everyday life activities. And then if we come up here, I have no mental illness and I have good mental health. This is where we want to be. Everything's going well. We have our coping skills in place. That's not saying challenges won't come our way, but it's saying that we have good coping skills. I hope that made a lot of sense to us. Bottom line is, we can live in recovery from an illness such as schizophrenia. Thank you for taking your time to listen with me today.